Hi guys, happy Monday. Welcome back to my channel. I hope that everybody had a very, very lovely long weekend. I don't know why I said long there. It's just a regular weekend. For whatever reason, I thought it was 3 days for some reason, but no, just like a regular weekend. And I am not going to sit here and eat with you guys today, but I did want to have a real conversation with all of you, just generally, about like the pandemic and, everything that we've gone through together as the world. I think that, I've always been, in case you didn't know, been an advocate for mental health. I think that mental health, is so important, not only for yourself, but for the people that you care about. I think it's important that you always prioritize mental health first. And I just want to say that wherever you are in your life today, you will get through it. If you're struggling, you will get through it. There is going to be the rainbow, at the end of whatever you're going through. And that, I think with social media, with YouTube, even with YouTube and Instagram and, all those things out there, TikToks and, so many different platforms, there's always this curated image of how you're supposed to be, or like this curated image of like, everything is great with your life and, all of that. And yes, that might be true, that might be true for the person posting it. But behind the scenes, there's always some struggle, there's always some struggles, whether we, talk about it openly or not. There's always some struggles, that happen, just because for no reason, and that's okay too. And I think that we should always take the time, to acknowledge, whatever is, that we're struggling with, and to be open, whether you're talking about this with your therapist or you're talking about this, with your partner, your close friend, or your family member. I think that it's important to acknowledge and that it's okay to have a day where you're not feeling at 100%, or you're feeling a little down, and to work through those, and not discount, those experiences in your life, and that, even if it is a negative experience, there is always something, I feel, to be grateful for each day. I always struggle with Mondays, and simply because, you just had a good weekend of rest, and getting back into work and the routine has always been a struggle for me. And something that I look forward to Mondays is literally making my coffee in the morning. That's something that I get excited about. And washing my face, I get excited about that. And those are very, very small things, but those are simple things that, bring me joy into my life. And sometimes I think that, you just have to focus on those positive things. And, I'm just having this real conversation with you guys because I know that there's so much pressure, to pretend like everything is okay, and, to put an image out there that everything is going well in your life, and professionally, and all of that stuff. And sometimes, with the pandemic especially, it's okay to acknowledge that, you're not doing okay in this moment, but you have faith that it will be better. And I think that's something that, people don't talk about it as often as they should. And I think that, we often ask people, how are you doing? Or how are you? And half the time, to be honest, I think most people say, I'm doing well, I'm doing okay, or something of that sort, because they don't want to, unravel, the things that they are working through. And I think we should be doing more of that, because I think that, if we don't get a chance to express how we feel, if we always hold back on what we're feeling, and just brushing on the surface level, you don't really get the chance to work on yourself internally. So for myself, at least, I'm trying, to be, I have my therapist, I talk to her on a bi-weekly basis, I have no filters with her. I tell her exactly how I feel. And I feel very seen, and I feel very heard. And I encourage, all of you guys who are watching to do the same if that's something, that you are struggling with. And that it's okay, just because you're having a bad day, it doesn't mean that, everything is going to go wrong. It just means that, this thing didn't happen according to your plan, or whatever it is, and it will continue to go better and grow better, with time, with different things. And I think that, I think what I'm trying to say is that, we often, including myself, I have a very catastrophic mindset. Like if something goes wrong, like I automatically assume the very worst. And I sometimes even stop myself from doing something because I already feel like it's not going to work out, or like it's like, I think all of these negative thoughts. And sometimes we just have to reframe our mindset, to think and look at it differently. For example, it's just like let's just say a test is coming up and you struggle with this subject, or you're struggling by studying, and you just tell yourself, you know what, like this is not going to work out. And I think that we should stop having that mentality of thinking that it won't work out, without trying. And I think that we should stop that mentality of always thinking of the worst case first. I totally understand, because the reason why I think of the worst case first is because I'm a very cautious person. I don't like to take risks. Even doing this YouTube, like I feel like it's scary for me because, I'm talking to my screen, and then I'm also not sure how others will take it. And I just don't know whether my content is even adding value to anybody. But I still decided to do it because I feel like this is something that I kind of always wanted to do, but like never really took the steps to doing it because I didn't believe in myself. If I don't believe in myself, how are others going to believe in me? So that's like another thing. But I'm just saying that, like, you should always, give it your best at everything that you do and everything that you're passionate about. Because I just do find, like, from reflecting on my own, like, last 2 years, like, we always fear failing, or there's a fear of something else, and we stop ourselves from doing something because we don't have that faith within ourselves that we are capable of it. But we are capable of so many things, guys. Like, we are capable of being our true authentic selves and people appreciating us for who we are. And that's something that you shouldn't be holding back. And I've always held back a lot, simply because I've always worried about people's reactions, and I worried about what people thought of me. And I still do, don't get me wrong, that is still something that I still worry, but I'm aware of it, and I still push myself to do the things that I truly want to do. Because I believe in myself, and I don't need external validation or anything like that. I mean, I still do occasionally need external validation, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I think that everything you do, every decision you make in your life, should come from within, and having that faith in yourself. And people will see that. People will see that you believe in yourself. People will see your confidence. People will feel your energy. And I think that's so important, is to not lose that part of ourselves too, just to be authentically you. And that it's also, I also want to acknowledge, I'm going off on a rant here, but I also want to acknowledge, like, the challenges of the pandemic, right? Like, for myself, like, I haven't seen a lot of my close friends, because some of them are pregnant, and then some of them, have busy jobs, and, with a number of factors. And even when we do meet up, it's like has to be outside, there's so many restrictions. So, we're like, we've lost a lot of, those connections that we have with our friends, and we're spending more time alone in our thoughts, and all of that. And that comes with the pandemic, because we are encouraged to stay at home. And in Ontario right now, there's a lockdown, so you're even spending more time at home. And that can be challenging. It can be challenging when you are by yourself, and you're already working from home, which is isolating. And then on top of that, you're by yourself after work if you live alone. And I think that has been a challenging aspect for a lot of people, and especially if their families aren't close by. And I acknowledge that struggle. And it's the great thing about technology, is that you can continue to connect, in different ways, and that's wonderful. And I just want to say that, if you are living alone, like, I understand. I live alone too by myself, but I have, my parents close by. But there are, even if my parents close by, there are moments where I feel like, oh, like I am alone in my house, and that can be overwhelming just by that fact alone. And I just want to say that you're never alone. You can always feel free, to like send me a note on YouTube or whatever it is, and and we can chat and all of that stuff. And second of all, like, I think that I think that you should always remind yourself too, that You are, although yes, you are physically alone, you're not ever alone, because I hope that all of you have someone in your life, whether that's your therapist, your friend, your family, that you can always, talk to or message. And at the same time, being independent on your own, like to flip it on the positive side, you learn so much things, on your own. The other day I didn't realize I was cleaning and I noticed that there was an instruction manual on top of my oven, and I was freaking out because I've been using my oven for the last year with the instruction manual on top of it filled with paper. And I was like, oh my God, this is a fire hazard. But I realized that it's actually not a fire hazard, according to the person I contacted. It's apparently very typical to have the instruction manual on top of the appliance, and it's not something that is a fire hazard. So I learned that, and I've learned a bunch of different things, and I think that, when you are independent and you are living alone, you learn so much, about everything, because, you are sort of counting on yourself. And I think that builds self-growth and self-trust within yourself, which is what I learned. And, I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's always, I know the pandemic is bad, and I don't discount, all of everything that has happened with the pandemic. But I also want to point out, the positive sides of the pandemic, and also the ability to, like, look at us. Well, most of us hopefully are able to work from home. And that is something that is also a blessing, because then you can end up doing things that you love to do. You have more time, you spend less time commuting, you're also saving money on transportation. There's a bunch of that stuff that comes along with it. And thirdly, I realized that you during this time you really get a chance to reevaluate, your life and your goals and what you want out of your life. And I think that's something that I personally never had a chance to do, like pre-pandemic. It's always like work and go home and, maybe watch Netflix, and the same cycle repeating itself. And now I'm really thinking, like, what do I want out of my life? Like, what do I really want to do? What really makes me passionate? What things have I stopped myself from doing that I can now do, with this extra time from commuting and all of that stuff? And this is one of the things, like, putting myself out there on YouTube is one of the things I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. Starting my own blog, go for it. Like, all of these things that I've held back in doing, partly because A, I didn't have the time before, and secondly, I didn't believe in myself. But I think the pandemic has really allowed everyone to really think and analyze what they really want out of their life. And I think that, tying a different aspect to it is like, sometimes it's also scary, right? When you realize that what you really want in life, is maybe different than what you're doing now, or maybe what you want out of in life, you're not entirely sure whether you can achieve it or not. So then you end up thinking about it, and then it's scary, because then you feel like you have to make a decision, like, what are the changes I need to make, to get to where I want to be? Or maybe it's like, what am I doing? What do I need to, cut out of my life currently that I'm doing? For example, for me, it's like, I watch way too much Netflix and all of that stuff. And that stuff I'm certainly sure I can cut out, to focus on the things that are more pressing and more urgent. And, you really think, and you really start to think and make decisions. And sometimes it's scary, because I think we often associate decision making as something that is a right decision or a wrong decision. And that can be overwhelming, because you're like, what if I make a decision, that's not right for me? Or what if I make a wrong decision? And I think that we should, not think of it as a right or wrong decision, but think of it as, just a decision, right? Whether, the decision you make will, have positive outcomes or consequences, it is a decision. And I'm sure that whatever decision you made, you felt was the right decision for you at that time. And my therapist always reminds me, Michelle, whatever decisions you make in life, there's always, an opportunity to step back and reverse it in some sort of way. So it's not like a permanent thing, if you don't like the decision that you make. And I think that, a decision is a decision. Instead of staying stuck, you are moving forward by making a decision. And that, people, and also another thing is that I find that when you make, decisions, you have to, at least for me, I seek external validation or justification, or I feel like I need to explain myself to certain people on why I made the decisions that I make. And this is just a reminder to say that you actually don't need to explain yourself. This is your decision that you made for yourself, something that, regardless of whether the other person understands your decision or not, this is the decision you made for yourself. And, I really look up to the people who stand firm in their decisions and in their choices, no matter the consequences, because that's power. That's you're empowering yourself by making that choice, and you're empowering yourself by, you know, managing the consequences and all of that. And sometimes it is scary, when making a decision, whether it's a big one or a small one. But as long as you feel like it is the right decision at that time in your life, you did the best you can, and you just keep going. You just keep going and believing in yourself. And yeah, I guess I just like had all these thoughts that I wanted to share. And I just think that, I just also want to acknowledge, mental health, because it is something that is important to me, and that, people, I think, don't talk about it enough, and, some things that people struggle with. But I just want to say that, you are never alone. I think that, there's always going to be people and resources out there who are willing to help you. And there's always another perspective of looking at things when you feel stuck, when you feel alone. For myself, I recently got into learning more about my faith. I never really had a faith or a religion to begin with, but I started to learn more about God, and that's something that wouldn't have happened if it weren't the pandemic. And there's so many things that I've done and tried differently because of the pandemic. So I think that with every struggle, almost, there also comes an opportunity for change. And sometimes change is scary. I know for a fact change is scary because, I'm not the best, to be honest, at handling change, and it is something that I am working on. But I also feel that, change may not necessarily be a bad thing either. Change allows for growth, change allows for opportunity, change allows you to reevaluate your life. And I think that, you know, that the pandemic has also helped with that too. By no means am I advocating for the pandemic. Please don't get me wrong in that sense, but I'm just saying that I'm just talking, having like a real talk with you guys, and just being fully myself, and how I'm seeing things. And that I think that no matter what you do, in your life, I hope that you always prioritize yourself first. You prioritize the people that matter in your life first. Always tell the people in your life that you care for them, you love them, you're there for them, because I think that your support system is everything. It's so important, to have your support system, and that, you just continue to chase your goals and chase your dreams, whatever they may be. Whatever struggle you go through will be an opportunity for you to grow and develop. And I just wanted to say hi, be honest, be open with you guys, just have a real talk with you guys. And that even, like, I think a lot of things, I had mentioned earlier, like when I first started, like yammering away, that, there's so much curated content out there, where, everything is like filtered, everything is like planned ahead, and, all of these things, and even on Instagram and elsewhere, everything, you know, I think that sometimes, at least for myself, sometimes I have moments where I'm like, oh, I wish I had that life, or like, oh, I wish I was like that, or oh, I wish I was like, there's so many things, that sometimes, I'm sure maybe you have experienced it too, that you wish were different, or you wish you had something that the other person had. But just also a reminder to be grateful for everything that you do have today in this present life, that you work so hard for yourself, or that you have, that, other people may want from you. And just live life with gratitude, with thankfulness, and, just continue to work hard, to do your best, and to not stop yourself from achieving anything that you want to do, because I feel like you all have it within you, to do whatever you want. And, if you're building, an online business by yourself, I've learned that, I'm not really building an online business for myself, but I'm just saying that, like, for those of you who are as well, I've been listening to like coaches, on YouTube and on Instagram. And what resonated with me is that, people will either like you for who you are, or they may not like you, and not everybody has to like you. and that's okay. And the people that that likes you for who you are the people that you want to keep in your life. And I just want to say that I'm thinking of all of you out there, and that I hope that you continue to live your dream life, whatever that may be. You continue to work hard with your goals, and that always prioritize yourself, your mental health, and all of that. And that I'm always here as well if you ever need me. I'm by no means a therapist, but I have been through a lot. And I'm always happy and willing to chat with you guys. And I guess this is the end of my real talk for Monday. But I really genuinely hope that everybody has a great week ahead, and that I will chat with you guys very soon. And that, if you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe. And I hope you guys all have a great week. And, when in moments of doubt, don't forget to look at it from a different perspective. So, anyways, that's it for now. I will see you guys all soon. Thanks. Bye.